Life in the medieval period is often romanticized, painted in broad strokes of stone castles, noble knights, chivalrous duels, and lavish feasts held beneath vaulted ceilings. Stories and films tend to focus on the grandeur, the pageantry, and the drama. But beneath that polished veneer was a world defined by hardship, uncertainty, and physical endurance. For all its beauty and legend, the medieval world was unforgiving. To understand just how inhospitable the era could be, one must look beyond the myth. Imagine for a moment waking to find yourself transported into this world, not as a visitor or observer, but as someone expected to live, labor, and survive in it. As the day unfolds, you rise as a king and fall asleep as a peasant. Each hour lived through a different station in the rigid medieval hierarchy. From the pressure-laden court of the monarch to the mud-caked hands of the field laborer, every position brings its own burdens, its own rules, fears, and physical toll. The life of a noble was not necessarily comfortable. The life of a knight was not always heroic, and the life of a peasant was more often than not a daily struggle to stay alive. This is not a journey through fantasy, but through reality, through the weight of history, stripped of its golden glow. A single day is all it takes to see how deeply different this world was, and why survival in it, even for the strongest, would be far from guaranteed. Have you ever considered what it really means to wear a crown? The grandeur and authority are apparent, but beneath the glittering surface lies a profound isolation. Imagine waking each day in a stone chamber, fit for the tales of ancient fortresses, where the echoes of victory and celebration are muffled by a heavy silence. This is not just a setting. It's a solitude that accompanies responsibility, an opulent trap woven from threads of duty and expectation. To be king is to continually balance on the edge of power and loneliness. In the heart of the castle, the king lives in a stone chamber that defies the myriad tales of royal splendor whispered among the common folk. Ornate and austere, the chamber greets you with a chill that clings to its stone surfaces, like a reminder of an unyielding past. Arched ceilings loom overhead, casting shadows that stretch across the cold, polished floor. The walls, although adorned with intricate tapestries depicting victorious battles and moments of royal celebration, fail to mask the stark, unfeeling stone that forms the core of the chamber. The thick velvet drapes hang heavily over narrow stained glass windows. They filter the sunlight into fragmented colors, projecting patterns onto the stone floor that seem as imprisoned as the thoughts of the man who inhabits this space. Alongside it, a sturdy oaken table is strewn with maps and scrolls, symbols of the king's unending affairs and the weighty obligations pulling at him from every direction. The crisp parchment, marked with decisions yet to be made, mirrors the king's tangled thoughts, scribbled edges betraying a mind never truly at ease. The chamber's high windows allow peeks of the kingdom beyond, acres of land spreading like a quilt crafted from fields, forests, and rivers. Yet even this breathtaking view reinforces his isolation, its beauty felt only in glimpses, fleeting moments when the daylight pierces through the stained glass. For the king, the world exists largely outside these stone boundaries, a parallel life that carries on, vibrant and scarcely affected by the fortress walls that hold him in. Wandering through this chamber, observing each object and its placement, speaks to the king's unique isolation. Every curated piece, every illusory trace of opulence reveals the separation between the king's world and those he rules. His life unfolds within boundaries set by stone and circumstance, a prisoner to the legacy passed down. Each king's deed, a stone laid on this towering edifice of responsibility. This isolation, bred by power, disconnects him from true camaraderie. The chamber's vastness feels larger when draped in solitude, echoing the king's longing for honest connection, absent from his daily performances. The weight of the chamber reflects the weight of the crown, a silent testament to the burdens the king carries. To wander its halls is to step through layers of history and expectation. Its architecture whispers tales of past rulers, lessons etched into stony silence, echoing into the present. This legacy is an invisible occupant, present at every corner, whispering constantly. Isolation in the depths of this chamber feels intentional, almost tactical. Removed from the comforting chaos of the court, the king basks in what should be solace, yet tranquility can become oppressive in its constancy. Perhaps it is in these moments of silence, when the fire dies low and the shadows lengthen, that the king feels the full weight of his solitary reign. His is an existence tied to legacy, where companionship treats are fleeting and trust is a scarcity. Within this stone testament of power, the king grapples with an existence unlike any other. The tactile richness, stone dampness, underpinned with ornate finery, reflects both the promise and cost of power. The unyielding stone mirrors his heart's hardened exterior. Born of necessity and circumstance, there is a determined harshness to such existence, not as frivolous as it appears to spectators. The king's engagement with life beyond this chamber is limited, each day drawn into structured periods dictated by duty. His interactions, whether with advisors or through ceremonial engagements, frame a narrative of relentless obligation. Decisions await him, woven into the fabric of his daily routine, demanding contemplation and resolution. This structured monotony becomes a reminder of the life he leads, orchestrating kingdom affairs, yet cloaked in this singular stone solitude. As the day progresses, and the chamber is briefly brightened by another glimpse of sunlight, the king prepares for the approaching hours. Perhaps today, advisors will stand opposite him at the oak table, their voices filling the expanse, the chamber rebounding with considerations of state and strategy. He must weigh each word, each counsel provided with the balance of his realm at stake. The echo of their voices lost in stone, but the weight of their advice full upon him. In this way, the chamber remains pivotal to the king's life, a place of deliberation and direction, where isolation transforms into focus. These interactions signal a shift in his daily routine and lead naturally to the dynamics of governance and ruling, a path laden with expectation and the source of both the king's strength and solitude. The ceremonial duties and the weight of decision-making wait eagerly as another day within these walls unfurls its tale. The stage has been set within the king's gilded cage of ceremonial duties and daily interactions, offering a glimpse into the regal yet isolating world he inhabits. A place where grand gestures and endless protocols simulate mastery over his realm. Yet, beneath this veneer of ultimate authority lies a life of paradoxes. Duty-laden routines may manifest as seeming control, but they paint over the constant stress of wielding a power that cannot shield the ruler from internal and external struggles. This king battles the peculiar blend of privilege and peril that marks his reign. Politically, he stands at the mercy of complex webs woven by advisors and courtiers, whose motives are often as unclear as the king's path through daily governance. The illusion of control quickly dissipates in this atmosphere of constant vigilance, overshadowed by fear and political intrigue. Every interaction becomes a nuanced dance where alliances shift with the breeze and loyalty is a rare commodity. His counsel, ideally a source of wisdom, instead presents a mosaic of conflicting interests, each voice a potential ally or adversary. Power shapes perception in ways both subtle and profound. Those who wield authority find themselves increasingly isolated, their relationships filtered through layers of protocol and suspicion. Every gesture becomes calculated, every confidence measured against potential consequences. Internally, the king copes with more than courtly connivance. His position demands a separation from authentic human contact. Isolated by status, he endures solitude masked by attendants who flit about, pretending to fulfill his every need while subtly reminding him of his separateness. The role that alienates while pretending intimacy leaves no room for real connection. Trust is an always distant ideal, further blurred by the shadows cast by potential deception. Despite his elevated status, the king struggles with ironic twists, living lavishly yet deprived of simple comforts. Privacy, the cherished retreat from the public eye for most, becomes an elusive fantasy. He lives under the cloak of splendor, where even moments meant to reflect personal sovereignty demand scrutiny and attendance. His environment, designed to project opulence, becomes suffocating. Rooms echo with footsteps, not of reverence, but surveillance, further cementing the inherent contradiction within his reign. Moreover, tasks and traditions that define his rule detract from the familiarity and comfort that define human dignity. The regal, ceremonious facade covers a reality where basic personal needs receive minimal consideration. The grandeur of his position, paradoxically, invites neglect in personal life, a poignant irony for one who should want for nothing. A king burdened by intrigue finds little sanctuary, not even in his bedchambers, where relaxation exists only as a memory, obscured by the whispers of duty. Stories of betrayal, of ambitious whispers in the corridors, filter through his dreams, knitting burdens into the fabric of his consciousness. Even allies who dine beside him nurture designs that erode his peace of mind. Rest remains a luxury in a life where vigilance is its currency. Here, power and peace are distant relations, rarely enjoying the same company. Consider a royal banquet not just a feast, but a forum where tensions brew and ambitions curdle into silent provocations. Amongst laughter and the clatter of cutlery, the king discerns undertones of future betrayals. A glance held a heartbeat longer, an exaggerated enthusiasm at court jesters' performances. These become threads of the larger political quilt he navigates. This continuous scrutiny mirrors his life, a tapestry of looming betrayals, holding court while forcing smiles that never reach weary eyes. Such encounters magnify the loneliness of leadership, his sovereignty shadowed by looming distrust. The king's struggles intertwine his external battles with internal conflicts. Burdened by the fate of the realm, every decision echoes with the weight of affecting not just present dynamics, but the chronicled pages of history that will record his legacy. This legacy, despite its splendor, carries a relentless refrain of more decisions, more vigilance, more scrutiny. There's no latitude for falter or forgiveness today or tomorrow. Accountability defines power, generosity lacking. These treacherous waters encircle him, compelling careful navigation through adversity. His reality is one of constant attention triage amidst political tempest and unease. The environment pounds like waves of distrust against the steadfast stone of monarchy, unyielding in its demands. Legacy requires stability against tempests of rebellion, potential coups that threaten his already tenuous peace. His very reign becomes a ship weathering storms from within and without, charting courses through uncertainty to secure not just his dominion, but peace for those he governs. The king's bed, a grand four-poster, adorned with lavish fabrics and cushions, stands majestic yet impersonal. Its grandeur doesn't invite rest as much as it commands reverence, a nightly reminder of duty rather than repose. Alongside it, a sturdy oaken table is strewn with maps and scrolls, symbols of the king's unending affairs and the weighty obligations pulling at him from every direction. The crisp parchment, marked with decisions yet to be made, mirrors the king's tangled thoughts, scribbled edges betraying a mind never truly at ease. The chamber's high windows allow peeks of the kingdom beyond, acres of land spreading like a quilt, crafted from fields, forests, and rivers. Yet even this breathtaking view reinforces his isolation, its beauty felt only in glimpses, fleeting moments when the daylight pierces through the stained glass. For the king, the world exists largely outside these stone boundaries, a parallel life that carries on, vibrant and scarcely affected by the fortress walls that hold him in. Wandering through this chamber, observing each object and its placement, speaks to the king's unique isolation. Every curated piece, every illusory trace of opulence, reveals the separation between the king's world and those he rules. His life unfolds within boundaries set by stone and circumstance, a prisoner to the legacy passed down, each king's deed a stone laid on this towering edifice of responsibility. This chamber acts as both sanctuary and cell, embodying the dichotomy of the monarch's existence. It is a cocoon sheltering him from the outside's fierce practicality. Decisions must be swift, appearances impeccable. This isolation, bred by power, disconnects him from true camaraderie. The chamber's vastness feels larger when draped in solitude, echoing the king's longing for honest connection, absent from his daily performances. The weight of the chamber reflects the weight of the crown, a silent testament to the burdens the king carries. To wander its halls is to step through layers of history and expectation. Its architecture whispers tales of past rulers, lessons etched into stony silence, echoing into the present. This legacy is an invisible occupant, present at every corner, whispering constantly, isolation. In the depths of this chamber feels intentional, almost tactical. Removed from the comforting chaos of the court, the king basks in what should be solace, yet tranquility can become oppressive in its constancy. Perhaps it is in these moments of silence, when the fire dies low and the shadows lengthen, that the king feels the full weight of his solitary reign. His is an existence tied to legacy, where companionship treats are fleeting and trust is a scarcity. Within this stone testament of power, the king grapples with an existence unlike any other. The tactile richness, stone dampness underpinned with ornate finery, reflects both the promise and cost of power. The unyielding stone mirrors his heart's hardened exterior, born of necessity and circumstance. There is a determined harshness to such existence, not as frivolous as it appears to spectators. The king's engagement with life beyond this chamber is limited, each day drawn into structured periods dictated by duty. His interactions, whether with advisors or through ceremonial engagements, frame a narrative of relentless obligation. Decisions await him, woven into the fabric of his daily routine, demanding contemplation and resolution. This structured monotony becomes a reminder of the life he leads, orchestrating kingdom affairs, yet cloaked in this singular stone solitude. As the day progresses and the chamber is briefly brightened by another glimpse of sunlight, the king prepares for the approaching hours. Perhaps today, advisors will stand opposite him at the oak table, their voices filling the expanse, the chamber rebounding with considerations of state and strategy. He must weigh each word, each counsel provided with the balance of his realm at stake. The echo of their voices lost in stone, but the weight of their advice full upon him. In this way, the chamber remains pivotal to the king's life, a place of deliberation and direction, where isolation transforms into focus. These interactions signal a shift in his daily routine and lead naturally to the dynamics of governance and ruling, a path laden with expectation and the source of both the king's strength and solitude. In this dance of power, the king becomes both choreographer and captive, his every move premeditated, rehearsed, and scrutinized. Even gestures of mercy must be measured, lest they be perceived as weakness. Strength, after all, is the only currency respected in a realm where ambition is as common as breath. The regal mask never slips, even in private, for the walls themselves might bear witness, and whispers may travel faster than truth. Despite this, the king clings to moments, those brief interludes of clarity that emerge when the court is silent and the flickering fire casts shadows on stone. In those quiet hours, he confronts his truest reflection, not in polished mirrors, but in his own doubts. He wonders whether legacy is built by the hand or the heart. Is it the bloodline that carves history, or the choices made in the solitude of a ruler's mind? And still, dawn returns, indifferent to the king's introspection. The court awakens with its usual rustle of silk and intention. Pages rush through corridors, nobles resume their subtle games, and the kingdom demands its sovereign once more. He dons the robes of state, not with pride, but with resignation, a warrior not of war, but of will. His decisions ripple outward, shaping lives and futures, yet the loneliness within deepens, a steady tide that power cannot command. Rumors of unrest trickle in, cloaked as couriers and reports. A border skirmish, a failed harvest, a discontented noble's subtle disobedience. They arrive like distant thunder, presaging storms that gather beyond the horizon. The king, weary but unwavering, prepares once more to respond, not just as ruler, but as sentinel. His crown weighs no less with time. If anything, it becomes heavier with memory. Yet, the greatest burden is not the threat of rebellion or the fear of death. It is the knowledge that peace, when won, will likely never feel like triumph. For no victory is ever untainted in a world where every alliance is a compromise, every decree a blade with two edges. To govern is to trade certainty for sacrifice, love for legacy. Even so, the king endures because he must, because to falter would be to forfeit not just his life, but the fragile scaffolding that holds the realm together. His strength lies not in denial of fear, but in the will to face it daily, relentlessly, without applause. And within that ceaseless resolve, even solitude becomes a kind of sovereignty. Consider a realm where whispers grow louder with each passing day, A king's paranoia may lead him to construct elaborate security apparatuses, effectively turning the court into a fortress. Trust is rationed, friendships tested, and alliances are approached with caution. The psychological cost of such vigilance is immense, potentially leading to isolation. Even royal families are similarly affected, where familiar affection must contend with political expedience. The impact on a king's mindset and interaction with others cannot be overstated. It molds a ruler's view, embedding a vigilance that becomes second nature. The hyper-awareness of danger fosters a sharp political acumen, but also nudges toward solitude. As trust dwindles, so does open dialogue, replaced by a necessity for subtextual reading between the lines. Every meeting, whether with ministers or foreign envoys, becomes a battlefield of subtle maneuvers and strategic feints. A misstep can lead to political ruin or personal peril. One might think of the ancient Roman concept of damnatio memoriae, the condemnation of someone's memory. For a king, this isn't merely about legacy, but survival. Decisions made in the throes of defending the realm shape how a king is remembered. Decisions made in the throes of defending the realm shape how a king is remembered. A ruler's actions resonate through time, casting shadows that fall on successors, as seen in embattled monarchies where every choice has generational implications. In exploring a king's ongoing conflict, we see that the trappings of power, often imagined as opulent and coveted, hide the relentless scrutiny and unending tests of character and resolve. Authority demands much more than its occasional triumphs suggest. Each conquest or political victory is written not just in history, but also in personal sacrifice. To wield power is to live with its costs, facing the struggle between public duty and personal peace. A king lives within this unending cycle of conflict and precarious peace. While his rule might lay the foundations of legacy, it's woven with personal sacrifice and persistent uncertainty. The challenges he endures and the choices made to surmount them define more than just an era of leadership. They are the essence of enduring governance, blending a ruler's unyielding will with the ever-looming specter of the unseen threats that test the very essence of kingship. You awake to the sound of clanging metal echoing through stone corridors. Each morning is a step in your relentless march toward knighthood, a life bound by duty and expectation. As you struggle to lift the weighty cuirass over your shoulders, the reality of your chosen path settles over you like the armor you don, a comforting burden, a sign of honor. Training begins before the sun fully rises, the grounds alive with activity as knights and squires alike hone their skills. Around you, swords cut through the frosty air, each clash and cry a reminder of the life you aspire to lead. Yet beneath the surface lie unspoken challenges, the exhaustion that seeps into your bones with every passing day, and the quiet fear of failure that lingers in the shadows. These are the trials that make warriors of men, demanding grit beyond your years. You wake to the crisp, cold air of dawn in your stone keep, the hearth's faint warmth lingering as you prepare for another demanding day. The clanking of armor and the persuasive scent of boiled oats fill the dim corridors. In the distance, the gentle whir of a grindstone sharpening a sword breaks the silence. You stand shoulder to shoulder with your brothers in arms, your breath visible in the brisk morning as you fasten your cuirass and adjust your gauntlets, each piece a testament to your status and role in society. The training grounds, a flurry of noise and motion, pulsate with life as discipline and valor blend seamlessly. Knights, both veteran and novice, gather on these fields, a patchwork of churned earth and scattered straw, with determination. You charge through a rhythmic routine, your sword cutting the air with a whoosh, each thrust and parry, guided by necessity and muscle memory. The clang of steel on steel punctuates your practice. Sparring partners circle one another, testing strength, speed, and strategy. These journeys stretch across miles, where the horse's rhythmic trotting beneath your armored form becomes a meditation. The countryside unfolds around you, a kaleidoscope of rolling hills, barns dotting the distance, the vibrant green fields giving way to dense patches of forest. You serve as the eyes and ears of your liege, ever watchful for marauding bands or rival factions. Each patrol instills a sense of purpose and repetition, your vigilance a barrier against the uncertainty that lurks in the formless shadows of the realm. Back in the keep, you move with deliberate intent, attending your lord with a keen sense of duty. In grand halls filled with the soft glow of torches, you stand guard, observing the rush of courtly life. Pages and squires dart to and fro, bustling with messages and tasks. Your presence is one of silent strength, a reassuring emblem of power and protection. You remain attuned to the murmured dealings of diplomacy, safeguarding your lord's interests, reading unspoken envoys and political games with an intuitive foresight refined over years. Not every day follows the calm monotony of routine. Tournaments punctuate the seasons, offering a stage to showcase your prowess. The excitement builds long before your shield meets a lance, as days of preparation lead to this moment. Crowd stands rise alongside tents, flags snapping in the wind, adding color to a scene of dust and sweat. You armor up, your coat of mail gleaming beneath the sun. The atmosphere trembles with anticipation, a shifting sea of peasants, merchants, and nobility watches as you don your helm and lead your powerful horse onto the meticulously groomed field. The joust, the crown jewel of the tournament, sees you spurred into thundering charges. There's elegance in this brutal dance as lances shatter upon shields, a calculated art where balance, accuracy, and bravery intertwine. Cheering erupts as combatants unseat one another, echoing across the plains, a chorus of appreciation for skill and valor. On days when combat is not sport, the rhythm shifts to that of skirmishes and warfare. The battlefield transforms from the controlled chaos of the training grounds to an opera of survival. Here, strategies honed through countless hours of practice unfold against opponents just as hungry for victory. The air thickens with the metallic tang of blood and sweat. The shouts of commanders weave into the symphony of clashing arms, images that burn themselves into your memory. Through woodlands and across rivers, you bridge your present with stories of old, tales of heroism, romanticized around firelit evenings with your comrades. You recount victories and losses, each story etched with lessons that shape your understanding of courage. These narratives tether you to the ideals of valor and honor, binding you to those beside you in a continuum of shared purpose. When dusk falls over the battlefield, you tend to the wounded, offering a different kind of strength. Your hands, roughened from years of gripping a sword, now bring solace to the fallen and the faltering. There is a shared silence in these moments, a recognition of mortality, of the limits that lie beyond even the sharpest blade. Throughout it all, this life of discipline and dedication leaves its mark. The cycle repeats. training, patrolling, attending, fighting, engraving itself on you, not just in bruises and scars, but in your very soul. The physical demands are unrelenting. Your armor presses down on your shoulders, the weight of iron, a daily burden. Countless marches and endless skirmishes grind away at you, carving away at your body and your will. But the mental strain is no lighter. Every move you make, every breath you take is shadowed by violence. Peace exists only in fragile pockets, thin as mist between storms. Even a life cultivated in honor cannot always shield you from the toll. Here rise the true challenges, the specter of injury, the pull of exhaustion, the crushing expectations behind every decision. War is relentless, and knighthood demands your unwavering presence. At its heart, you must craft this intricate ballet between duty and self, letting your principles guide you as much as the sword in your hand. In the quiet spaces between battles, in the stillness of campfires, or the hush of moonlit halls, questions begin to surface. Introspection creeps in, unbidden but necessary, whispering from the edge of your awareness. These truths follow you. They carry forward, growing heavier with time, shaping and challenging you as you tread this long and brutal path. Picture yourself in training. Your day begins at dawn, heralded by the ceaseless clang of steel against steel. This is no mere exercise. It's a brutal ritual, a rite that forges squires into warriors. Your armor, often exceeding 60 pounds, is both shield and burden. Its weight presses on every movement, forcing strength into your muscles and resilience into your spirit. To lift an arm, to take a step, each is an act of will. Now imagine charging on horseback with that same weight, speed, and power demanded in tandem with endurance. The demands are extreme. In the chaos of battle, injuries are not rare. They are expected. The clash of weapons is no exaggerated note. It's the overture to bruises, to blood, to broken bone. And still, you rise, because this is the life you've chosen. A life where honor walks hand in hand with sacrifice. Consider the types of wounds you endure. Jagged cuts from swords, the deep bruises from maces, and the sharp, piercing thrusts from lances. Each weapon leaves its mark, raw, unforgiving, a testament to the violence embedded in the marrow of medieval life. But beyond the obvious, think of the strain your body carries each day. Wearing armor that weighs more than 60 pounds is not just a physical task. It is a burden that never truly lifts. Muscle strain, joints ache, and fatigue sets in long before the battle even begins. During training or skirmish, fractures are not uncommon. Exhaustion is constant. That weight of steel and expectation presses down on you always, a reminder that duty is never light. Yet the mental toll rivals even the heaviest steel. Picture yourself on the cusp of battle, your body still, but your mind a whirlwind. There are no certainties here, only the looming specter of death. You live every day, knowing that each battle might be your last. It's a truth that breeds pressure so immense it becomes a second kind of armor, one made not of iron, but of stress. Fear walks with you, not only the fear of death, but of failure. You live every day, knowing that each battle might be your last. It's a truth that breeds pressure so immense it becomes a second kind of armor, one made not of iron, but of stress. Fear walks with you, not only the fear of death, but of failure. For you, honor is paramount. It's a principle you hold above your own life, a code that demands unwavering courage in the face of terror, and absolute loyalty even when the cost is steep. Reconciling this code with the brutal, blood-soaked chaos of war requires strength of another kind. To survive, you forge coping mechanisms. You lean on your brothers in arms, knights who march and bleed beside you. Together, you share stories and silences, a bond welded in the crucible of combat. In them, you find solace, a quiet support amid the screams of battle. Sometimes you retreat inward. You find refuge in prayer, in meditation, in the quiet repetition of ritual. Other times you steel yourself, turning emotion into armor. Your face unreadable, your resolve absolute. Each of you finds your own way through the mental maze that knighthood constructs. Then there is loyalty. You swore fealty to your liege lord, and that oath is more than ceremony. It is a lifeline in a world of shifting sands and bloodied hands. Loyalty is your compass in the fog of war. But even that compass can waver, because loyalty sometimes demands sacrifice, not just of yourself, but of your companions. You are asked to make choices, to charge forward or fall back, to save a comrade or obey a command. Each decision ripples through the lives around you, reshaping friendships, alliances, and memories. You exist in a world of contradictions. There is the myth of the gallant knight, shining noble, serving virtue with unshakable grace. And then there is the truth, a truth of blood on your blade, pain in your bones, and grief behind your eyes. You're expected to embody both, to live the legend and survive the reality. Consider, too, the world in which you operate. This is no courtly paradise. It's a realm of scarcity. Food is fuel, not joy. Sleep is stolen when it can be. The comforts of life are distant luxuries. Routine becomes your lifeline. You train, you march, you fight. Discipline becomes a shield against chaos, and the rhythm of duty is the only rhythm you can rely on, and still you endure. Imagine the fortitude it takes, your endurance forged not just by heat and blade, but by choice. Each scar on your body speaks to a battle overcome, each bruise a badge of survival. The code is clear: honor above all, duty without fail. But you are still human. Imagine the fortitude it takes, your endurance forged not just by heat and blade, but by choice. Each scar on your body speaks to a battle overcome, each bruise a badge of survival. The code is clear: honor above all, duty without fail. But you are still human. You know fear, you know doubt. And it is this very complexity, this tension between the sacred and the savage, that defines you. You are a warrior, forged of grit and grace, striving each day to live up to the impossible standards carved into the code you follow. And in doing so, you reveal not just strength, but soul. As you continue to walk the winding path of knighthood, remember this: your discipline does not falter. Even when the trials are relentless, when the weight on your shoulders feels too great, you hold firm to the codes that define your very being. Your life is an intricate dance, choreographed between two worlds, the myth of grandeur and the raw truth of sacrifice. And it is in that space, in that narrow gap between belief and reality, that the heart of knighthood lies. With the heavy cloak of chivalry resting across your shoulders, you must tread the line between what others believe you to be and who you actually are. You strive daily to reconcile the shining ideals of justice, courage, and loyalty with the bloody, exhausting, unforgiving demands of your reality. Knighthood does not merely ask, it insists. It urges you toward a life perched precariously between romantic legend and cold endurance, and you comply because you must, because your oath does not bend with the wind. You've already faced the toll, brutal injuries that test your endurance, the psychological weight of carrying your life in your hands each dawn. Yet what binds your world together is something deeper, a rigid, unshakable discipline. This commitment to duty is more than training with sword and shield. It is the architecture of your existence. It is the scaffolding that supports every moment of your day, from first light until the last embers of dusk. Your hours are consumed. Training that tests the limits of your body, weapon care that demands precision and patience, strategic drills that sharpen your mind like a finely honed blade. There is no part of your life untouched by the call of discipline. This routine does more than strengthen your muscles, it forges your resolve. You learn to be vigilant, always, to react swiftly, to remain composed under pressure, to act with honor even in the smallest of decisions. There is no comfort in your calling. The armor you wear is no longer a foreign weight, it is a second skin. The ringing of blades, your daily rhythm, the scent of sweat and steel, your constant companions. Perhaps you understand this better through the tale of Geoffrey de Lusignan. He was no legend born of song, but a man of brutal reality, renowned for his precision and unbending commitment to the chivalric code. He rejected comfort. He trained when others rested. He lived not for glory, but for principle. His nights were spent on cold earth, not in silken tents. The rhythm of his life was one of service, hard, unromantic, and absolute. His story reminds you that knighthood is not polished armor and fanfare. It is the grind, it is the sacrifice, and it is the unwavering resolve to do what is right, not what is easy. Your life mirrors this grind. You face the constant challenge of balancing personal allegiance with your duty to your liege. It's a fragile, shifting balance, often tilted by the pressures of politics and war. You might draw strength or caution from the legacy of Sir Thomas Malory, a knight himself. His life during the War of the Roses reveals the strain of serving ideals in a time of betrayal and shifting loyalties. He, too, struggled to uphold honor in a world unraveling at the seams, and in his writings you sense the same tension you know too well, the dissonance between what a knight should be and what the world forces him to become. Beyond the weight of armor, beyond the scars and ceremony, lies the truth. This life demands personal sacrifice. Yours is a world far removed from courtly tales and songs of valor. You persist because your code is more than tradition. It is your identity, and every dawn you rise, you reaffirm your place, not in fantasy, but in the steadfast march of those who came before you. You are a knight, not by the glitter of the myth, but by the grit of reality. You have faced solitude, long, unbroken stretches away from hearth and kin. Annual campaigns pulled you from the warmth of home, leaving behind children who grew without your watchful eye and loved ones who lived with only memory. Your reunions, when they came, were brief and bittersweet, interrupted by duty's unyielding call. Your sacrifices were never for glory alone. They were offered in the name of survival, of kingdoms, of people, of the ideals etched deep into your soul. Time and again, You chose your oath over comfort, carving hollow spaces in your personal life. You know the paradox well. Battlefield accolades cannot fill the silence of an empty home. Victory wears a different face when it comes at the cost of joy. In this crucible of conflict between expectation and experience, the truth of knighthood is laid bare. Romance may depict you as a figure draped in virtue, poised for quests and triumphs. But you understand the deeper truth. Your journey was never painted in strokes of constant triumph. It was built upon compromise, forged through doubt, and tested in the dark hours of lonely vigils and cold battlefields. Picture the eager squire you once were, eyes bright, dreams polished like a new blade. You imagined honor gleaming in sunlight, the weight of a sword as the crown of your destiny. But the rain-slicked mud, the aching cold, and the constant specter of death offered you a different education. Your armor, once a symbol of glory, became stained with dirt and wear. Your dreams, once romantic, were tempered into resilience. That is the transformation of a knight, not into a myth, but into something far more real. You rarely saw the feasts sung off in ballads. Instead, your meals were sparse, your shelter meager, your battles many. The weight of your armor wasn't only iron and leather, it was expectation, tradition, and duty pressing down day after day. And yet you endured, not because the path was easy, but because it mattered. Your grit, not your glamour, etched your place into history. You held the line when others faltered. You bore the codes of honor even as the world around you threatened to unravel. You learned that knighthood was never about perfection. It was about humanity, navigating moral ambiguity, making hard choices, and still choosing the path of principle. Even in moments of personal loss and isolation, you remained bound to a code that allowed no easy exits. Your freedom was constrained, your choices narrow, yet you still defined honor on your own terms. This is your legacy, not the gleam of a polished helm, of the grandeur of a title, but the resolve to walk forward, regardless, to shape history, not with fanfare, but with steadfastness. When people look back upon your life, let them see more than the shining figure astride a warhorse. Let them see the man beneath the helm. It lives in that constant swing between grit and glory, and it is there, in the motion of that pendulum, that your true spirit resides. Having walked through the fires of expectation, pain, and principle, you've become more than a symbol. You've become a mirror, reflecting our own hopes and struggles, our own quiet battles. In knowing your path, we better understand our own, and like you, we seek to carry our burdens with courage, guided by honor, even when the world offers no applause. In the bustling medieval town square, you quietly slide through the vibrant crowd. Your eyes are sharp, always scanning for opportunity and danger alike. The cacophony of haggling voices fills the air, mixing with the rich scent of distant spices and freshly baked goods. Here, everything is in motion, a dance between potential profit and looming loss. Each transaction teeters on uncertainty as you navigate your day with practiced care. Yet, beneath this lively marketplace lies a labyrinth of challenges. Every step brings the risk of theft. Every negotiation demands careful balance. You must be ever vigilant, moving quickly to avoid the pitfalls hidden among the many possibilities. With hands and heart steady, you venture into the unknown each day, knowing full well that one miscalculation can turn fortune into failure. Imagine the maze-like streets of a lively medieval town square where every corner teems with life. You stand at the heart of this thriving vortex, well versed in its intricate rhythms. The air buzzes with a cacophony of sounds, from the boisterous haggling over prices to the rhythmic clopping of horse hooves, all underpinned by the tantalizing aromas of exotic spices and sizzling meats on offer. Here you thrive, whipping through crowds with a well-practiced dance of dodges and nods, visible confidence mixed with sharp vigilance. Each step could bring profit or peril, a gamble made habitual by unwavering resolve. A typical day begins before dawn, when few cobblestones echo steps of others. This quiet time allows for assessment of the day's inventories, calculating what must be moved quickly to avoid spoilage. A visit to the port introduces challenges of its own, where crews unload goods from distant lands. These docks represent international conduits, a bridge to far-off marketplaces that promise rare indulgences. The scent of the sea mingles with the wholesomeness of barrels brimming with salted fish or pungent cheeses bound for markets. Dockworkers shout in a chorus, shifting crates and easing goods onto carts for their inland journeys. Each item bears potential profit if timed and moved correctly. The foreign markets present a collage of color and clamor that captivates your senses. Goods from all corners of the world overflow from stalls, every piece with a story inviting the curious. Silks of elusive texture drape beside jewelry that catches the sun with bold flashes. Aware of the allure these items hold for the more affluent citizens, you carefully assess every object for quality and uniqueness. Here, language barriers melt under the universal language of trade, yet each transaction holds the subtle challenge of shrewd negotiation. As lunchtime arrives, the square becomes almost impossibly dense with townsfolk, rural visitors, traveling traders, and the occasional pickpocket eyeing anything unguarded. In the uproar, you recognize the thief's intent, staying aware without appearing guarded. Like a fox in a henhouse, appearances can be deceiving. Crafty bandits don't wear disguises. Instead, they blend in, watching for predictable routines, vulnerable to disruption. The stakes are high, and vigilance is your indispensable ally. Bargaining sessions can escalate into a fierce contest of wills. You must strike a delicate balance. Push too hard, and a customer might retreat, stung and wary. Yield too much, and profit shrinks to a thin margin. A particularly heated moment might involve a disputed price for linen bolts. Both buyer and seller assert claims with fervor, testing patience and conviction. Yet it's an art, this barter of words, each entwined with gestures and expressions. The punchline often falls to a well-crafted comment designed to tip the scales, allowing both parties to step away, faces marked with grudging respect. The roads reveal a different set of demands. Stretching outward, they connect trading hubs, but remain unpredictable allies. To cross them is to seek fortune, with hazards in tow. Weather dictates speed and safety, paving paths with mud or ice that slow travel to a crawl. Caravans move in convoys for protection, a solidarity forged by necessity. Your knowledge of geography becomes a treasured secret. Routes demand caution, as shortcuts could be riddled with ambush points. Corrupt officials present a challenge as formidable as the roads themselves. You learn early to navigate their layered bureaucracy, a game demanding skill, or else you remain entrapped. Thus, relationships built on trust balance precariously with those swayed by necessity. In this web of interactions, the port returns as a central vein of continued intrigue. Ships appearing on the horizon don't guarantee a bountiful haul, for what remains on their decks after storms and losses affects your bottom line. With customs ready to inspect, you walk an agonizing tightrope, cajoling for better terms if delays threaten. Knowledge becomes currency as much as gold. The knowing nod exchanged with customs agents ensures vital goodwill, often tipping the scales toward favorable outcomes. Evening descends as the day's labor winds down. The square empties, leaving behind echoes of its bustling life. You count what's left, planning tomorrow's pursuits as candlelight flickers against the walls of townhouses lining the streets. Satisfaction and apprehension mix as you reflect on the constant cycle of cycles. The mechanisms of trade seem a living entity unto their own, keeping company with human pride and folly alike. And yet, anticipation lingers in your thoughts of future trials bearing both peril and promise. The constant undercurrent of trepidation isn't misplaced. Hidden threats take many forms. Will sudden market dives overturn your earlier profit calculations, leaving your shelves heavy with unsold goods? Class divisions rear their subtle heads, discerning which transactions cross invisible lines. And beyond the immediate, a deeper suspicion lies within veils of church whispers or noble eyes cast over your common rolls of coined riches. Class divisions rear their subtle heads, discerning which transactions cross invisible lines. And beyond the immediate, a deeper suspicion lies within veils of church whispers or noble eyes cast over your common rolls of coined riches. Their scrutiny casts a shadow over your legitimate craft, a reminder of where power seats itself, record books relegating deeds to risk. As these questions weave through your mind at the close of day, the story's tapestry remains open to interpretation. This world of opportunities and perils offers no rest, only the certainty of the unknown. You venture onward, advancing with the knowledge that fortune may sit just beyond, yet is equally sharp as the knife edge it balances upon. Amidst the vibrant chaos of town squares and the exotic allure of foreign markets lies your complex world. You navigate a labyrinthine existence with unwavering focus on your destination, prosperity. Yet each footfall carries a distinct risk. The mere act of transporting goods becomes a test of vigilance, as theft looms like an ever-present shadow. One poor turn, and your precious wares are gone forever. However, vilifying theft as your sole enemy neglects the real picture. Market volatility makes your reality as precarious as walking a tightrope. Though you embody the hustle and adaptability required to harness fluctuating markets, these abilities can unravel at any moment. External forces, unpredictable weather patterns, crop failures, or even the whims of powerful trading partners have the potential to destabilize even your most astute business plans. Timing, rather than solely skill, plays a critical role in determining fate. Success today doesn't guarantee survival tomorrow. Breaking through these barriers, you encounter another formidable challenge lurking quietly in the societal undercurrents: class. For you, class isn't just an abstract construct, but an everyday obstacle. The nobility and church, towering pillars of medieval society, cast long shadows over your aspirations. With authority sprung from birthright rather than merit, you often find yourself outside the exclusive circles where influence thrives. The church, while central to people's lives, approaches you with wary eyes. The church, while central to people's lives, approaches you with wary eyes. As custodians of morality, clergy often view your pursuit of profit with skepticism. They cast you as a potential trespasser of ethical boundaries. Accusations of usury, charging excessive interest, hang like a storm cloud, threatening reputational ruin and ostracism. You must deftly maneuver this delicate landscape, balancing profit-seeking practices with community standing. It's a tightrope walk, demanding tact, subtlety, and careful calibration at every step. Your interactions with landholding nobility can be equally fraught with tension. You challenge the status quo by accumulating wealth, not through land ownership, but through ingenuity. This fosters resentment among nobles who cling to ancestral privilege. The deep-rooted belief that lineage trumps skill becomes a barrier. It forbids your entry into upper echelons. Despite financial success, you dwell in a realm of reluctant respect, homing in on niches where your contributions remain valued economically, yet underappreciated socially. However meticulously you plan or prosper, suspicions from the church and nobility bar real ascendance. This medieval world favors a rigid system where societal bonds are determined by birth. That expectation weighs heavily on you, pressing into your psyche the impermanence of your station. Each day, you face the reality of an existential tightrope. A single misstep risks reducing the fruits of your labor to bitter lessons in resilience. Yet against this backdrop of extraordinary challenges, ambition flickers. It whispers of possibilities beyond the horizon, mobility and independence unfound within static class boundaries. Ambition, though fraught with peril, holds an undeniable allure. It compels you to question whether the most important gains come not only from trade itself, but from the chance to redefine the limits imposed by unjust social maximalism. Faced repeatedly with the systemic exasperation of immovable barriers and suspect glances, the whispers of ambition become increasingly persuasive. Yearning for independence grows stronger with each reminder of restraint, sparking a fire for transformation ignited by circumstance. Opportunities pique your curiosity. Could an alliance with other ambitious minds break through prohibitive walls? Could venturing into unfamiliar trade routes uncover uncharted promise? Each path, while inviting, presents its own set of hazards, requiring careful negotiation, trust building, and above all, risk management. Instinctively, you adapt to constant change. It becomes as much a matter of survival as of growth. You consult market trends, traverse unfamiliar terrains, and keenly observe competitors. Each action sharpens the skills critical for your endurance. Your courage doesn't reside in uncalculated gambles. It thrives in your firm confidence in evolving across multiple dimensions. Thus, the ambition that begins as mere curiosity grows into a substantial force. It stops functioning as a scattering of second thoughts. It spirals into actionable possibilities, each one wielding its own allure of independence. This ambition becomes a powerful resource, potent though unpredictable, a double-edged blade that, like the world of commerce itself, offers both reward and risk. Transitioning ahead, ambition's gravitational pull intensifies. Understandably, you yearn for something more lasting, a legacy, perhaps, that transcends immediate commercial gain or societal sanctions. What follows is a decisive chapter. You gravitate toward independent avenues, pathfinding into new terrain with the resilience of one who has weathered storms. For young readers stepping into your shoes, navigating this volatile era encourages understanding of ambition, manifesting not only in material terms, but as the potential to remake one's world. The narrative's evolution mirrors this twist in your tale, a dynamic exchange between entrenched tradition and transformative ideas, ultimately determining how you carry forward your fate. Aspirations risk unleashing inherent dangers, but they also promise vast horizons. Embarking upon this volatile journey promises many lessons. With one eye fixed keenly inward, you redefine not only your role, but also inherit insight into the art of balancing survival and the aspiration for more. As your story unfolds, and the allure of mobility and independence accompanies ambition's multifaceted nature, new chapters beckon. Hints of uncertainty and potential, both familiar and unexplored, await discovery on this voyage into historical currents. Encountering the unpredictable nature of medieval trade, you quickly realize that adaptability is as vital as ambition. Theft lurks around every corner, and letting your guard down for even a moment could leave you penniless. Maintaining a vigilant eye, you navigate through this landscape, your mind always calculating the next move. Just as previous merchants before you faced relentless dangers, so do you, situating your choices at the intersection of opportunity and peril. Amid the rhythmic chaos of market stalls and the incessant haggling, you continually assess prices that could plummet or soar in an instant. This volatility is both thrilling and terrifying. You recognize how swiftly the sentiments of sellers shift, driven by whispers of scarcity or new trades on the horizon. Your decisions are like pieces on a chessboard, each calculated move accounting for potential threats and windfalls. The market becomes your battlefield, constantly testing your knowledge, intuition, and nerve. Beyond the bustling markets, the roads bring a new layer of danger. Caravans often traverse territories rife with bandits, compelling you to strategize routes with near military precision. The silence of night amplifies every sound, keeping you alert and tense. You learn that the best defense lies not just in armed guards, but in appearing unassuming, your wealth as hidden as your intentions. As your journey stretches forward, societal barriers loom. You question your worth and status in a world skewed by birthright. Even with the resources to transcend such limits on paper, true acceptance is rarely granted. You move carefully through this world, performing a delicate dance of politeness and observation. Ambition can elevate you or doom you. Your background shapes how others perceive you, coloring every encounter. Mobility becomes both your curse and your blessing. It allows you to embrace new horizons and opportunities that others only dream of, but demands constant movement steeped in risk. Each destination opens new avenues, yet each also brings its own peculiar challenges. In foreign markets, unfamiliar customs and languages test you. You must build trust quickly or suffer financial loss. In these moments, your charisma becomes your greatest asset. Independence defines your path. You make decisions without the comforting assurance available to more established elites. You thrive on the freedom of your lifestyle, yet every success is accompanied by the gnawing anxiety of potential disaster. The threats feel personal. Every action reflects solely upon you. There is no safety net, only the chance of greater reward if fortune favors your gamble. The stakes are high. The higher your climb, the steeper your fall. Ambition propels you forward, but not without consequence. It drives you to seize opportunities and innovate, yet it also invites envy and suspicion. Competitors and compatriots scrutinize your every move, eager to exploit missteps. Still, ambition pushes you to act boldly where others hesitate, turning pitfalls into challenges you can navigate. Along this difficult path, relationships form, sometimes fleeting, sometimes enduring. The bonds you create become a web of fragile alliances. These connections offer support, insight, and vital aid in unfamiliar territories. In the camaraderie born of hardship and mutual need, you find companionship that transcends superficial divisions. Your journey is like walking a knife's edge, a remarkable equilibrium between chasing prosperity and managing its consequences. You understand how intimately these forces intertwine, shaping your precarious reality. Your story, one among many mercantile aspirations, is not only a fight for commercial success, but also a battle against societal barriers and internal doubt. Each of your moves, whether taken at the glittering height of potential wealth or on the shadowy brink of ruin, lays the groundwork for your evolution. The dangers you face sculpt you into a more discerning traveler, with each encounter layering new wisdom onto your spirit of enterprise. In the ever-shifting landscape of wealth and risk, your story pulses with timeless ambition. You transform personal struggle into a saga of perpetual resilience. At your core lies an unwavering commitment to purpose. You believe in where your journey could lead. The adrenaline of risk sharpens your focus, each sunrise reminding you that fortune waits if only you dare claim it. Ambition serves as both your compass and your catalyst, guiding your relentless pursuit of a destiny forged from the very sinews of possibility and peril. You've journeyed through bustling streets, vibrant markets, and treacherous paths, living the life of a medieval merchant. With nimble steps and sharp wits, you navigate a world of both exhilarating highs and daunting challenges, always balancing ambition with caution. Now that you've glimpsed the intricate tapestry of your existence, you can look ahead to how merchants like you shape their destinies amid the uncertainty of medieval trade. Your story teaches timeless lessons, resilience, adaptability, and the unyielding pursuit of dreams. Let it inspire you to seek your own path in a world filled with possibilities, waiting just beyond the horizon. Have you ever wondered what life would be like as a blacksmith? It's not the stuff of grand quests or shining armor, but rather the solid, steady rhythm of work that built the medieval world. A blacksmith's day starts early, often before the first rays of light have broken over the village rooftops. The forge is a constant companion, its heat the heartbeat of the blacksmith's life. Blacksmithing isn't about glory or song, but about skill and endurance. From the moment the fire is kindled, there's a steady hum of activity. The blacksmith's first task is to stoke the coals, pumping the bellows until the embers glow red and alive. It's a patient job, no rushing, no shortcuts, because the right heat makes all the difference in shaping the metal. The air in the smithy is thick with the smell of coal smoke and hot iron. Sparks fly like brief stars as the hammer meets the anvil. Each clang is deliberate, part of a practice sequence that turns raw iron into something useful: a horseshoe, a plowshare, a sturdy door hinge. The hammering might seem repetitive, but every strike has purpose, every motion refined through years of experience. The air in the smithy is thick with the smell of coal smoke and hot iron. Sparks fly like brief stars as the hammer meets the anvil. Each clang is deliberate, part of a practice sequence that turns raw iron into something useful, a horseshoe, a plowshare, a sturdy door hinge. The hammering might seem repetitive, but every strike has purpose, every motion refined through years of experience. A blacksmith's work is never quite finished. Between orders from farmers, knights, and villagers, there's always something to be mended or forged anew. Tools break, wagons need repair, and horses need new shoes. In this way, the blacksmith's role is essential, keeping the daily life of the medieval community moving forward. The tools of the trade are simple but vital. Heavy hammers, tongs, chisels, and punches hang neatly within reach. Buckets of water stand by for quenching hot metal, and bars of iron lean in a corner, waiting to be transformed. It's a world of sweat and precision, not of knights and dragons. Inside the workshop, the light from the forge flickers and dances on rough stone walls. The blacksmith's hands are strong and calloused, accustomed to the weight of iron and the rhythm of the forge. Muscles ache from hours of lifting and hammering, but the work demands focus. Distractions can lead to mistakes, and mistakes can mean wasted metal or worse, injury. Lunch might be a simple meal eaten beside the forge, bread and cheese, maybe a piece of salted meat. There's no luxury here, only what's needed to keep the blacksmith working. And when the meal is done, it's back to the hammer, back to the steady beat that shapes the tools and weapons of the day. As evening falls, the forge's glow dims, and the blacksmith packs away tools, sweeping the floor of iron filings and bits of scrap. The day ends as it began, in quiet routine. There's no fanfare, no applause, just the satisfaction of work done and the promise of another day. In the medieval world, the blacksmith's role was humble but vital. Their labor didn't win battles, but it armed those who fought them. Their craft didn't write songs, but it built the tools that built the world. It's a life of heat, hammer, and steady hands, one that kept the village turning and the people fed and housed. Step back in time and enter a world where the clang of hammer on anvil is the heartbeat of the village, where the air is heavy with the scent of coal and hot iron, and the flickering forge illuminates the skillful dance of creation. This is not a land of knights and fair maidens. This is the world of the blacksmith, a world built on sweat, precision, and the rhythmic pulse of the forge. Beyond the castles and battlefields, it was the blacksmith's workshop that shaped the very tools of survival. Here, the steady rhythm of hammer strikes rings out like an ancient song, echoing through stone walls and down dirt roads. It's a place of endless possibility, where raw iron is given form and purpose by hands that know their craft inside and out. In this world, there's no room for glory or tales of heroics, only the honest, patient work that keeps a community alive. Every nail, every horseshoe, every plowshare is a testament to the blacksmith's silent vow to shape the metal that shapes the lives around it. It's a world of focus and endurance, where each ember and spark tells a story of quiet dedication. Journey through this world, you'll see the blacksmith's life unfold, a life that starts in darkness before dawn and ends only when the last glow of the forge has faded. It's a life defined by repetition and refinement, by simple meals eaten in the glow of the fire, and by the knowledge that every finished piece is a mark of hard-won mastery. Watch as iron yields to the hammer's will, and see how, in the hands of the blacksmith, even the simplest of tools becomes something essential, something enduring. Welcome to the world of the blacksmith, where every spark is a promise, and every day is another chance to shape the future. What if you were a blacksmith in the Middle Ages? Have you ever imagined waking up in a medieval village, not as a noble or a knight, but as a blacksmith? You rise before the sun, the cold air biting at your skin as you pull on clothes stiff with soot from yesterday's labor. The forge waits for you, still and quiet, like a sleeping beast. You know it won't be long before it roars again. As you prepare for the day, the scent of charcoal and metal fills your nose, a smell so familiar it's become part of you. You move around your workshop with purpose, laying out your hammer, tongs, and files with practiced precision. The clang of iron against iron will soon echo across the village. Your neighbors rely on you. Without the nails you forge, homes would collapse. Without your horseshoes, carts wouldn't move. Even the local knight trusts you to keep his sword battle ready. You're not just crafting tools, you're holding the village together. As the fire roars to life, its heat wraps around you, sweat forming on your brow before breakfast. You grip a rod of iron with your tongs, feeding it into the flame until it glows red hot. Then, with steady hands, you hammer it against the anvil. Sparks leap and scatter. The rhythmic blows become your heartbeat. Whether you're shaping a scythe, a hinge, or a blade, each strike carries weight, literal and symbolic. The work is hard, sometimes dangerous, but it's yours. And when you step back and see what your hands have made, there's a quiet pride that rises in you. Later in the day, a farmer brings a plow blade, dulled and chipped from long hours in the field. Or perhaps it's a noble steward delivering a dented helmet from a border skirmish. You take each item in hand, inspecting it like a storyteller poring over old words. Repairs demand not only force, but finesse. You heat, shape, cool, over and over, reviving the metal with a mix of muscle and intuition. There's artistry in this trade, even if others don't always see it. You know it well. To be a blacksmith is to shape more than metal. It's to shape the life around you. Your hands bear the truth of your days, thick with calluses, etched with tiny burns. But they also speak of knowledge passed from mentor to apprentice, generation to generation. When you craft a tool for harvest, you think of the family relying on it. When you fashion a lock, you wonder what treasures or secrets it will guard. Every item you make tells a story, and through each one, your legacy spreads quietly across the village, stronger than any castle wall. The air teems with sound around you. The roar of the fire, the sharp ring of hammer on metal, each strike echoing with purpose. You know the rhythm well. Each pause is intentional. A breath to assess your progress before plunging the iron back into the forge, or quenching it with a hiss in the water trough. Steam curls upward, thick and fast, only to vanish in the dry heat. Your entire body feels the demand. Every swing, every lift, every burst of heat, reminding you that this is a trade of both artistry and endurance. Sweat comes early. It beads on your brow and slides down your back, tracing paths through the soot that clings to your skin. Muscles burn, arms throb. The forge doesn't forgive weakness, and yet you keep going, pausing only for fleeting moments to wipe your face or step into the doorway for a breath of cooler air. You squint through smoke and sparks and return to your anvil because you're driven by more than duty. There's something deeper at play, a love for the craft and the quiet pride, knowing that what you build matters. Villagers come and go, their presence offering breaks in the labor. A farmer needing a broken plow mended, a mother asking for nails to secure her home. a night squire, bearing a dented helm for repair. They trust you, depend on you. They speak with respect, not the kind forced by title, but the kind earned by years of unwavering skill. And when apprentices gather in the corner of your workshop, eyes wide and hands still unsure, you see yourself in them. You don't teach with books or lectures. You teach by letting them watch, by letting them try, by correcting gently when the iron bends wrong. The sun begins to dip, shadows stretching long across the workshop, but you're not finished. There are still tools to be sharpened, a horseshoe to be fitted, maybe a spear tip to be reforged. Your hands ache. Your back tenses with every motion. Burns are part of life here, small ones daily, and the rare severe one that reminds you how close danger always lurks. You rarely count the hours anymore, because the days blur together, all measured by the same sounds and the same demands. You don't always get paid in coin. Some pay with bread, others with cloth or favors. Wealthy clients might offer silver, but most of your work serves those like you, people scraping by, surviving together. It's more than business. It's barter for survival. And even though some days leave you exhausted and questioning, others fill you with something harder to name, a sense that you're part of something lasting. When you stoke the forge in the morning, when your tools rest just right in your hand, you feel it, a quiet connection to the elements, to time, to the heart of the village itself. This is more than work. It's a life you forged with fire, sweat, and spirit. The clang of metal greets you at dawn, signaling the start of your day with its steady, relentless rhythm. Each strike of your hammer echoes through the forge, mixing with the roar of flames and the scent of soot that clings to your skin. Your hands are rough and calloused, your arms strong, but the work is far from easy. Every swing demands strength and focus, a balance of physical power and mental grit to shape the raw iron before you. Your forge is an unforgiving place. The heat presses down on you like a living thing, and the dangers are constant. One careless moment can mean a painful burn or a dangerous accident. You know the sting of hot metal against your skin, the way the air thickens with heat that steals your breath. It's a place where caution and skill must live side by side. Yet, despite the risk, you return day after day, driven by the knowledge that your craft is essential to everyone around you. Your workday stretches long, often 10 hours or more, each hour filled with the steady pounding of hammer against anvil. Your muscles ache from the effort, your body pushed to its limits, but the satisfaction in shaping stubborn metal makes it all worthwhile. You create tools, weapons, and implements that are more than just objects. They are lifelines for your village. The sound of your hammer becomes a symphony of survival, punctuating the endless toil. When it comes to payment, life is unpredictable. Some days you receive shiny coins, other days grain, livestock, or simple barter. This irregular income means you must always be ready to adapt, knowing some seasons will be leaner than others. Though your skill commands respect, financial stability is fragile. Still, you find pride in your work, knowing each piece you forge helps keep your community thriving. Amid the grind, spirituality offers you comfort and strength. Before you even light the forge, you may offer a silent prayer or light a small candle, hoping for protection and endurance. These rituals connect you to something greater, ancestors who shaped the craft before you, and the natural forces that guide your hands. Your tools are sacred extensions of yourself, worn from years of use, but cherished as symbols of heritage and resilience. Mentorship shapes your world, too. When apprentices gather around, eager to learn, you pass on more than technique, you pass on a legacy. Teaching reminds you why you endure the hardships. It breathes new life into your craft and promises that what you've built will continue long after you've laid down your hammer. By day's end, you know you've done more than work. You've woven yourself into the fabric of your village. Each sword you repair, each plowshare you craft, helps defend, feed, and sustain your people. Your hands, though weary and worn, hold the power to shape not only metal, but the future itself. The ripple effect of your work as a blacksmith stretches far beyond the sparks flying in your forge, felt across seasons and generations. Each piece you shape from fire and sweat carries a hidden weight far greater than its simple form suggests. Whether it's the gate guarding the king's treasures or the horseshoe speeding messengers across distant lands, your creations are woven into the fabric of medieval life. Though knights and kings might hold the spotlight, your strength lies in quiet resilience and lasting influence. Your forge beats like the heart of the village, a steady reminder that survival and progress depend on your skill. No feast is set, no battle fought, no festival celebrated without the subtle touch of your hands. And when the day winds down and your muscles finally rest, there is comfort in this truth. As you cool the forge and brush soot from your hands, a wave of satisfaction washes over you. Removing your work-stiffened gloves feels like shedding a layer of the day's toil. Apprentices sweep the floor, stoke the fire one last time, and together you close the chapter on another day of creation. Every tool you've forged is more than metal and fire. It's a story, a livelihood, and a promise to your community. Life as a blacksmith isn't only about labor, it's about camaraderie and connection. After hours, you share tales and laughter around supper tables, discussing the challenge of a knight's armor design or joking about a project that didn't go as planned. When villagers come with requests, whether urgent or light-hearted, they bring stories too. You learn about the farmer's hopes for the next harvest or hear a soldier's account of distant battles. Each commission is an opportunity to understand how your craft supports the lives around you. You remain an unsung hero, knowing titles don't define you. What matters is that every spike, ring, and blade you create is a thread in the village's tapestry of survival and success. Your legacy, passed to apprentices and carried on through their hands, resonates in every hoofbeat on cobblestone and every clink of metal. As a blacksmith, it is clear your role was much more than shaping iron. You helped build the very backbone of your community. Despite the sweat, burns, and long hours, each hammer's clang was a step towards a stronger tomorrow. Now, having glimpsed your world, we appreciate the quiet power of your craft, a testament to persistence, skill, and the lasting impact one person can have across generations. Through your work, you become intimately connected to the rhythms of the seasons and the needs of the land. Spring calls for new tools to prepare the soil. Summer demands repairs to keep farms running smoothly, and autumn brings a race to ready harvest implements before the cold sets in. Each plowshare or scythe you forge is a vital part of the cycle of life, linking your craft directly to the prosperity and survival of your village. The responsibility you carry is immense. When a knight hands you a battered sword, or a noble requests armor fit for battle, you know that your skill could mean the difference between life and death. Every strike must be precise. Every fold of metal flawless. The weight of this knowledge sharpens your focus, fueling your determination to perfect your craft with care and dedication. But your role isn't just about tools and weapons. You are also a keeper of traditions. The knowledge passed down to you from master to apprentice is more than technique. It is a heritage of resilience, respect, and mastery over fire and metal. You teach not only the craft, but the wisdom of patience, the importance of listening to the rhythm of the forge, and the courage to learn through trial and error. At times, your forge is more than a workplace. It becomes a sanctuary. Amid the heat and the clang of metal, you find clarity and purpose, a meditative space where the worries of the world fall away. In these moments, your work transcends labor, becoming an art form, a dialogue between you, the fire, and the iron you shape. Beyond the forge, you are woven into the very fabric of your community. You witness their triumphs and trials, share in their celebrations and hardships, and become a trusted presence in their lives. Your forge is a gathering place, a symbol of endurance and hope, where stories are told, lessons are learned, and futures are forged, just like the iron in your hands. Silence, sacrifice, and solitude. In a world full of noise and constant activity, the concept of silence feels almost alien. Picture a place where words are counted as precious gems, each utterance carefully chosen and purposeful. Now imagine calling this quiet sanctuary home, where the hum of everyday life is replaced by the soft rustle of robes and the gentle flicker of candlelight. This isn't just a location, it's a lifestyle wrapped in layers of dedication, unseen by the bustling outside world. Choosing solitude over the chaos of modern life might sound serene, yet it demands more than meets the eye. Here, behind ancient stone walls, individuals attempt to discover their path amidst internal whispers that challenge their faith with doubt. Personal dreams fade, replaced by communal needs and spiritual goals that may not always shine brightly, but guide them on an unwavering journey. Through this lens, we begin to peel back the layers of a cloistered life, exploring its silent struggles and the profound search for meaning within its sacred confines. Choosing solitude over the chaos of modern life might sound serene, yet it demands more than meets the eye. Here, behind ancient stone walls, individuals attempt to discover their path amidst internal whispers that challenge their faith with doubt. Your day begins in dim silence. Within the cloistered monastery, the outside world fades into irrelevance. The sun's first rays barely pierce the thick stone walls that have stood for centuries. Morning light filters through stained glass, casting ethereal hues across the worn stone floors of the chapel. You gather with the others here, treading softly on the cool ground. Each step you take is a quiet act of devotion, a language of reverence in a place where words are sacred, reserved only for chants and essential needs. In this silence, the air wraps around you, heavy with a peace foreign to the noise of the outside world. Here in the scriptorium, time stretches. You find yourself in a candlelit room that serves as the heart of your intellectual and spiritual life. The flickering flames play gently across parchment and vellum as your quill glides across the page. You hunch over your desk, copying sacred texts with full-hearted attention, not just as study, but as worship. The scent of ink, melted wax, and ancient books surrounds you, a quiet perfume of enduring faith and purpose. Your dedication doesn't end here. Outside in the gardens, you tend to herbs and vegetables as if they were part of your own soul. Every seed you plant, every weed you remove becomes a gesture of inner cultivation. You bend to the earth, then rise again, a rhythm of prayer lived through action. With each quiet movement, you come closer to understanding the life you've chosen. The garden flourishes through patience. Through these simple acts, discipline becomes a strange kind of freedom. But this life demands sacrifice. You surrender personal ambitions to serve the needs of your brothers and spiritual ideals. And yet, even in service, you discover joy, a silent but steadfast reassurance that your life holds purpose beyond the self. Every choice you make affirms your identity as a monk, grounding your vows in daily routine. Still, beneath the calm surface of monastic life lies a hum of inner struggle. Faith is your compass, yet doubts creep in. In quiet moments, during vigils or long silences, questions rise uninvited. What called you to this life is the same force that now challenges you. You wrestle with your beliefs in solitude, in shadows, in silence. Silence itself complicates things. It's both comfort and confrontation. It shields your spirit like a warm cloak, but also gives your thoughts space to wonder about the lives you might have lived, the paths you left behind. The stillness becomes a conversation between you and God, one in which both doubt and faith share the floor. The cold chapel is your sanctuary and your mirror. Its chill is sharp, but so is your awareness of why you're here. The flickering candlelight, the glint of gold on icons, the weight of those who came before you, each reminds you of the gravity of your path. Aligning your thoughts with sacred teachings becomes your daily discipline, an exercise in resilience as much as devotion. You strive for grace, even while you battle turmoil inside. Watching the seasons change through a narrow window, you measure time not by hours, but by sunrises and sunsets. Each day invites you to reconcile your inner silence with the chaos you once knew outside. It's this contrast that defines your journey. What binds you to your fellow monks is more than prayer. It's the shared vulnerability. In your solitude, you find unexpected solidarity. Others carry the same burdens, the same whispered doubts. This mutual understanding becomes your support, a thread of strength woven into each day. Slowly, patience and endurance become a part of you. When night falls, silence returns. You walk back to your plain quarters, carrying the quiet like a sacred echo. You kneel once more in the cold chapel, shadowed by the dim light. Tomorrow, you'll begin again. Another day of prayer, service, and study. Another chance to walk the line between faith and doubt. You live your calling, not in loud proclamations, but in the rhythm of surrender, repeated with purpose and grace. Soon, you'll delve even deeper into the terrain of your soul. The tension between belief and uncertainty will pull you forward, drawing you into reflections both painful and beautiful. In this space, between conviction and questioning, you'll begin to understand faith not as certainty, but as a practice, one that whispers beyond these stone walls. Your life is shaped by long hours of prayer, rarely interrupted. To outsiders, it might seem peaceful, even idyllic, but within that stillness lives a storm of internal tension. Your day is structured tightly: prayer, study, manual work, like copying texts or tilling gardens. The world outside vanishes when you enter the cloister, but the world inside never stops moving. You kneel in the chapel, sometimes for hours, the cold creeping into your bones despite your robes. Sleep is short and simple. Your bed is little more than a firm pad. Meals are plain, meant for nourishment, not pleasure. These physical sacrifices are meant to purify, but they wear on you. You start to wonder, is this hardship helping you grow closer to the divine, or is it slowly wearing you down? Emotionally, the weight is heavier. You're separated from family and disconnected from the pace of the world. Letters arrive sparingly, and when they do, they carry memories that sting. You hear your mother's voice in your mind during evening prayers. You remember laughter, smells, holidays, fragments of a life you let go. That ache is part of your journey now. Suppressing your worldly desires becomes second nature. You teach yourself to let go of ambition, to put spiritual service above self, but sometimes you question this too. Why must the soul's path require the silencing of your human urges? Still, you try to trust that the cloister's purpose is to sharpen, not erase you. You strive to believe that in stripping away distractions, you are better able to hear God speak, if only in a whisper. Yet, squashing your natural inclinations can backfire, stirring inner unrest. You might possess a gift, a rare talent for painting, for instance, and find yourself torn. The desire to express this part of yourself surges, yet you feel compelled to suppress it in the name of your vocation. The brush in your hand becomes both temptation and torment. What once felt sacred now feels forbidden, a personal joy treated as a non-essential luxury. Your art becomes a spiritual battleground, a test not only of discipline, but of identity. In moments of severe doubt, that inner conflict flares. Perhaps you once poured years into perfecting a skill, woodcarving, poetry, song, only to lay it down upon entering the monastery. Now you're asked to redirect all that energy, and with it come inevitable questions. Did I choose wrongly? Is this sacrifice meaningful enough? At first, silencing those personal desires feels noble, but over time, if unattended, this silence can turn to resentment. What once seemed a path to peace begins to sting with loss. Internal conflict doesn't remain internal forever. It spills into the community. You share this sacred space with others who, like you, are wrestling with their own sacrifices. And while silence is meant to unite, it sometimes sows confusion. A glance can be misread, a gesture misinterpreted. Without the cushion of conversation, misunderstandings grow. Living in close quarters magnifies everything: envy, irritation, pride, emotions you try to suppress, but that occasionally slip through. What should feel like a sanctuary can sometimes feel like a crucible. From these personal struggles, a deeper tension emerges: the ongoing war between faith and doubt. The routine is strict, the silence is long, and the sacrifices sharp. At times, your devotion deepens. At others, shadows stretch across your beliefs. You begin to ask yourself, should faith feel this uncertain, or is doubt an inescapable companion on the spiritual path? Here begins the real work. You're no longer simply preserving your vows. You're wrestling with their meaning. You're no longer simply preserving your vows. You're wrestling with their meaning. Reconciling the spiritual expectations of this life with your basic human need to wonder and to want is the true test. The way forward demands understanding, not suppression. You must learn to channel your longing, not eliminate it. And that's no small feat. Balancing your personal hopes with sacred duty becomes a daily, delicate dance. But without it, Your purpose begins to fray. Every mundane task, scrubbing floors, watering gardens, copying pages, carries the weight of deeper emotional conflicts. Your hands perform the labor, but your mind is adrift, replaying the inner debate. Over time, these small dissonances flower into a greater reckoning. What is devotion? What is denial? You find yourself not just living the cloistered life, but becoming its living question. To find peace here is not to escape struggle, but to face it. You learn that silence sharpens contradictions before it soothes them. The very solitude you embraced to hear God's voice also amplifies your own doubts. These moments of tension are inevitable. They are the soul's crucible, where conflict doesn't destroy but transforms. It's tempting to believe these battles are signs of failure, but they are not. They are mirrors, and what you see in them can guide, not bind. You move through cycles of questioning, each day presenting its own quiet trials. Your faith stretches beneath the pressure, yet holds. The journey is anything but peaceful, yet through deliberate reflection, you uncover a quiet kind of strength. As your struggles deepen and your questions sharpen, you begin to sense that you are not alone. Others here, behind closed doors, beneath lowered hoods, are asking too. Their silence hums with meaning. The shared weight of inner conflict creates a bond more intimate than words. You are living a collective story, one of choice, conflict, and slow transformation. This is where your next chapter begins. The conflict between self and spirit will not resolve neatly, but in its unfolding, you'll glimpse profound truths. You'll begin to hear the quiet dialogue between belief and reality, faith and fear, an unending rhythm pulsing beneath every bowed head and whispered vow. This is not just your struggle, it is the silent heartbeat of the cloistered life. Each day here tests you. Physical discomfort becomes your constant companion. You exchange warmth and ease for simplicity and purpose. There are no luxuries, no soft bed to sink into, no richly flavored meals to savor. Yet somehow you begin to understand that these hardships aren't punishments, they're tools. Through them, you strip away distractions. You begin to see more clearly, feel more deeply. Your body aches, yes, but your spirit begins to stretch. Isolation weighs heavy, too. You've left behind family, friends, a life rich with familiarity. You walk away from laughter, shared memories, and the anchors that shaped your sense of self. Now you confront that self in solitude. No one here calls you by your childhood nickname. No one remembers your old dreams. The silence around you reflects the silence within, forcing you to ask, "Who am I?" without all that. Yet through this absence, a strange clarity begins to form. Freed from the noise of society, you begin to hear something quieter and truer. Your own soul. And what of emotion? What of ambition? These aren't erased. You're not hollow. In fact, the absence of external outlets draws your passions inward. You learn to channel desire toward meaning rather than success. The ambition that once pointed outward now aims deeper. Your goal becomes not recognition, but resonance with your faith, with your purpose. You don't dream of accolades. You dream of stillness, of communion, of peace. These hardships don't shrink you. They sculpt you. They show you what matters. In silence, sacrifice, and solitude, you are tested, but also transformed. As the days pass, you notice the change. Desires once loud, now whisper. Fears once sharp, now soften. You're not above struggle, but you've begun to understand it as part of the path. One compelling journey is your own, or perhaps one you've imagined walking like that of Sister Marie. You may have come from a life bursting with excitement, recognition, and noise. In the beginning, the monastery's silence feels suffocating, like a cage you willingly entered but didn't fully understand. The stillness confronts you. Your mind drifts constantly to the parties, the accolades, the sensory thrills of your past life. But with time, that silence begins to shift. No longer a prison, it becomes a sanctuary, a blank canvas. Here, in this quiet, you finally hear your own voice, not the one shaped by the world, but the one shaped by your soul. The silence makes space for eternity to speak. Or perhaps your path feels closer to that of Brother Thomas. You arrive burdened with unfulfilled dreams, ambitions that once defined you. You chased success, status, applause, but within the cloister, those measurements dissolve. What now defines your worth? Through prayer, through long days of contemplation, you begin to understand true success isn't built in the eyes of others, but in the quiet offering of love and service. As you release your grip on worldly ambition, a surprising peace takes root. You no longer strive to be someone, you simply strive to be present, and that is enough. Or perhaps your path feels closer to that of Brother Thomas. You arrive burdened with unfulfilled dreams, ambitions that once defined you. You chased success, status, applause, but within the cloister, those measurements dissolve. What now defines your worth? Through prayer, through long days of contemplation, you begin to understand true success isn't built in the eyes of others, but in the quiet offering of love and service. As you release your grip on worldly ambition, a surprising peace takes root. You no longer strive to be someone, you simply strive to be present, and that is enough. This life may appear austere from the outside, but once you've stepped within, you feel the profound serenity it offers. Silence isn't empty. It holds something sacred. The voice of the divine whispering beneath the chaos you once called normal. In the outside world, surrounded by noise and urgency, you couldn't hear it. But here, where everything has slowed, where distractions fall away, you listen, truly listen, and clarity emerges. That clarity cuts through your anxieties like light through fog, illuminating a deep well of inner peace. Sacrifice, too, takes on a new dimension. You stop seeing it as loss. Instead, you recognize it as transformation. Every comfort you give up, every preference you lay down, every craving you ignore becomes a gesture of focus. Your life shifts from me to we, from want to purpose. In releasing what once seemed vital, you find what is truly essential. Your heart, unburdened by self-interest, grows stronger and more free. Solitude, once feared, now becomes your closest companion. It no longer isolates you. It expands you, with no distractions pulling you in 1,000 directions. You go inward. You begin to know yourself in ways you never thought possible. And in that knowing, you deepen your connection to the divine. Solitude becomes not a void, but a wellspring, a sacred space where resilience, awareness, and truth are born. Of course, this life asks much of you. You surrender dreams. You say goodbye to family. You exit the rhythm of the world. These are no small costs, but in laying down those pieces, you clear the way for something profound. You begin to walk the path of self-discovery, not for praise, not for legacy, but for truth. And what you gain is immeasurable. Through the interwoven threads of silence, sacrifice, and solitude, you craft a life that pulses with meaning. You no longer chase identity, you embody it. A deeper purpose stirs within you, one rooted not in success, but in service, not in recognition, but in reverence. You learn compassion, humility, love. You live not to impress, but to connect. In this stripped-down life, you discover something astonishing, that simplicity is magnificent, that the quietest spaces contain the loudest truths, that by becoming comfortable with your own company, you unlock the mystery of your soul. You begin to understand that joy doesn't always dance, and peace doesn't always sing. Sometimes they simply are, quietly waiting to be found within you. As you step back and reflect on this cloistered life, the path you've considered, walked, or simply contemplated, it becomes clear. This journey isn't about running from the world. It's about entering more deeply into it. Through the lens of your inner life, the monks and nuns you meet serve as quiet guides. They show you what it means to find strength in stillness, to make peace with discomfort, and to use solitude as a mirror. You come to realize that the very challenges that seem hardest, loneliness, sacrifice, simplicity, are the very gateways to transformation. Silence strips away the noise. Sacrifice breaks the chains of self. Solitude offers you back to yourself. In these moments of reflection, you're invited to carry their lessons into your own life. You don't need to take vows or join a cloister to apply them. You only need the willingness to pause, to listen, and to let go just a little. Each small sacrifice can lead to a larger purpose. Each quiet moment, if you allow it, can become a turning point. So as the sun rises on your next day, consider this. How might you bring silence, sacrifice, and solitude into your world, not to escape, but to grow? In that answer lies your own path to a more grounded, meaningful existence. The peasant, survival. At the bottom today, you live in a world saturated with convenience, where clean water flows at the twist of a tap, food arrives at your doorstep with a few swipes, and climate-controlled homes shield you from nature's temper. Yet, beneath this ease, you sometimes feel a strange fatigue, a quiet unrest. Despite modern advancements, many of the same burdens that weighed down the lives of peasants still linger. Your days may not begin with grinding grain or hauling water, but they often begin with the same weariness, the same sense of responsibility to survive and provide. You rise to alarms instead of roosters, but the rhythm feels no less imposed. Emails replace the livestock, commute substitute for fieldwork, and yet the labor, mental, emotional, or physical, continues to chip away at you. Like the peasant, you contend with forces larger than yourself, systems of economics, social expectation. You may not face famine, but you know financial precarity. You may not be bound to land, but you feel the constraints of rent, debt, and routine. Your body may be spared the same level of toil, but your mind carries its own relentless burden. What unites you across centuries is the silent perseverance beneath daily life. You may have more choices, more tools, but you still strive through repetition, navigate invisible struggles, and search for meaning within it all. As you step into the lives of peasants long gone, you may find surprising familiarity, not in the tools they used or the clothes they wore, but in their quiet strength, their communal resilience, and their ability to press forward despite the weight of a world that seldom acknowledged them. In understanding their story, you just might understand your own a little more clearly. And so, you begin to imagine what it means to live without the buffer of modern convenience, where survival hinges on weather, not wages, where comfort is fleeting and effort is everything. Strip away your phone, your walls, your safety nets, and you're left with bare hands and a patch of land. Now step into that world. Feel the weight of the cold soil beneath your feet. Smell the wood smoke clinging to your clothes. This isn't just history, it's an echo of your own resilience, lived differently. The same dawn still rises, only now it greets you in a one-room cottage, before a day of labor not so unfamiliar after all. You awake at the crack of dawn, the golden edge of the horizon melting around you as you rise from your humble cot in a one-room cottage. The air is still sharp, with the remnants of night biting at your skin, though you've grown numb to such discomfort through relentless seasons. Each step you take through the muddy village echoes with the weight of another demanding day ahead. Around you, fields stretch into the distance in patchworks of color, waiting for your labor, the kind that means the difference between hunger and survival for your family. As the morning light spreads, it reveals the tapestry of life grounded in the earth and perseverance. First light doesn't tempt you to linger in warmth. It summons you to the fields. Plowing demands more than strength. It calls for unwavering resolve. In the breath of frosty dawn, you harness animals to wooden plows and press them into reluctant soil. Every inch you till is a quiet victory. The struggle lives in your hands, toughened by seasons of gripping coarse tools. As you drag the plow forward, furrows appear in neat, rhythmic lines, marking your endurance as much as your skill. Next comes the sowing of seeds, and with each careful gesture, you make a silent pact with nature. The routine is ancient, passed from one calloused hand to the next. You press each seed into the moist earth with hope, a fragile, flickering thing. But you know too well how easily hope can wither under a sudden storm or the spread of blight. During brief rests, you lift your gaze to the sky, reading clouds like cryptic messages, omens of fortune or ruin. In the distance, scarecrows stand watch over young shoots, symbolic guardians holding misfortune at bay. Your life is entwined with the cycles of planting and harvest. Even the animals are part of this delicate balance. Tending to them isn't just a task, it's a ritual. You move with intention between clucking chickens, meandering sheep, and rooting pigs, watching for signs of illness, feeding them, listening to their sounds, add rhythm to the countryside. The fields are a symphony of scent, movement, and labor, and you are one of its most vital instruments. As the sun climbs, the fields come alive with ceaseless motion. The air fills with the earthy smell of soil freshly turned and damp with life. In harvest season, golden crops shimmer in the light, a reward for your relentless work. You move swiftly, precisely, knowing that time is never on your side. Scythes hum through stalks, and your aching muscles echo every stroke. Heaps of grain pile up, silent proof of your perseverance. On scorching days, sweat beads on your brow, carving trails through your dust-covered skin. On stormy days, you race to salvage what you can before nature undoes all you've built. Your labor bears scars from countless seasons past, yet also brings the resolve needed to carry on. As your tools scrape against the earth, and your sweat mixes with soil, your will becomes tangible, shaped by necessity, hardened by time. By dusk, you finally turn toward home. The fields behind you pulse with the life you gave them. Mud and grit cling to your skin and clothes, leaving behind footprints in the land you've battled all day. But your fight isn't over. You cross the threshold into your smoke-hazed cottage, reborn into a new struggle within confined walls. Inside, the air is thick. Warmth carries with it the ache of limited space and scarce resources. The fire crackles softly, hungry. Like you stir thin meals in soot-stained pots with hands still trembling from toil. Meat is a rarity. Your dinner is a mixture of coarse bread and broth, enough to carry you into another day, but not much more. Meals aren't for pleasure, they're fuel, plain and necessary. Fatigue seeps into every moment, but even now, there's room for togetherness. In the warmth of your shared weariness, family bonds are woven stronger. You huddle together and trade stories, tales of ancestors who endured the same hardships, finding courage in their memory. Yet the shadows never fully retreat. Illness is a quiet predator, always near, and medicine a distant dream. Still, you endure. Your children don't read books. Instead, they study the clouds and stars, finding wisdom in nature's patterns. Education is a luxury you can't afford, but life teaches its own lessons. As night falls, you barely have time to reflect. Tomorrow begins again, with the same hunger, the same hope, the same endless routine. You live between extremes, resilience and fragility, despair and determination. Every breath you take in the open fields or by the hearth tells a story of survival. Your roots lie deep in the soil you work, your identity shaped by the land's demands and your undying response to them. You are part of a story stitched from labor and legacy. Emerging from your cramped quarters, having survived another night on a diet barely sufficient, you know this is only the beginning. Your struggle isn't just with the land, it's with the very system that binds you to it. You don't own the soil you toil. Instead, your livelihood hinges on the whims of landowners, people who may never even see the fields that rule your life. If you have rights, they are faint echoes, overshadowed by others who wield power and privilege. Each season brings uncertainty. A single drought can erase a year's work. A sudden frost can doom your hopes. You might work the same plot for years and still have no guarantee you'll see its fruits. That uncertainty gnaws at you, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You try not to let it show around your family, but the tension always finds its way into the silences between words. Yet in this fight, you aren't helpless. You possess a knowledge forged from generations of observation and adaptation. You rotate your crops, innovate with what little you have, and read the land like a living map. These small victories, born of necessity, are acts of quiet heroism. You survive in spite of a system that seems designed to forget you. And the system doesn't just forget, it takes. You're forced to give up parts of your harvest as rent. When disaster strikes, you may borrow seeds or tools only to find yourself buried under impossible debts. There's no safety net. Every setback tightens the grip of poverty. You love the land, but you're bound to it like a prisoner to their chains. It gives you life, but also keeps you subjugated. A brutal winter or cruel summer can spell ruin. You work and endure, mostly unseen by those in cities whose lives depend on your labor. They never feel the weight behind each loaf of bread or every sack of grain. Still, you persist. Your endurance is resistance. Your survival is defiance. You carve meaning from adversity. You teach your children the value of hard work and respect for the earth, even if you cannot teach them to read. You build a world from scraps and forge a future with nothing but will. You are not in history books. Your name may not be remembered, but without you, none of it functions. Your life may be overlooked, but it is not without meaning. Every day you rise again, not because hope is abundant, but because giving up is never an option. Your quiet courage endures, shaping the generations that follow. Your story is one of survival, yes, but also of a deeper, unspoken strength that forms the true backbone of a society too often blind to its roots. Your quiet courage endures, shaping the generations that follow. Your story is one of survival, yes, but also of a deeper, unspoken strength that forms the true backbone of a society too often blind to its roots. Cramped and smoky dwellings are more than mere shelters to you. They are symbols of the burdens you bear daily. The smoke-stained walls around you whisper of nights endured in suffocating darkness, of mornings where dim light seeps through the gaps in an ill-fitted roof. These four walls don't just shield you from the cold, they enclose a deeper truth. You are caught in a struggle, not only against the weather, but against a social order that resists movement. You live as your parents and their parents did, trapped in a cycle where escape feels more like a dream than a plan. Your life balances on a tightrope between visible labor and invisible suffering. Each morning, long before the sun rises, you move with the practiced rhythm of necessity. You draw water, you grind the grain, you tend the animals. To anyone else, it may look ordinary, but for you, every act is a quiet defiance, a form of daily heroism built on repetition and sacrifice, not choice. When rain soaks the ground and turns the fields into sludge, each step becomes a trial. You can't wait for better weather. The crops demand your attention. No matter how waterlogged or heavy the soil becomes, the joy of a fruitful harvest is always laced with aching limbs and weary breath. It's a strange contradiction. You've learned to live with triumph, measured in exhaustion. Despite all you do, your work remains largely invisible. Yes, the fields are plowed, the grain is stored, the livestock are fed, but few beyond your community see it. Fewer still acknowledge it. Those who command society from estates and high towers look past you, unaware of the labor beneath their wealth. That neglect stings, even if you don't speak it aloud. Your resilience gains no applause, but that makes it no less real. So you draw strength from what you do have, from traditions passed through whispered stories and songs shared under the stars. Around a fire, you remember those who came before. Their lives mirror yours, and their endurance lights a small flame of hope in you. These tales don't just recount suffering, they feed your will to continue. When your neighbor's child falls ill, or a family's food stores dwindle, you give what you can, not because you have plenty, because you understand what it means to go without. Community becomes your fortress. No one survives alone, but together you build a resistance of shared meals, divided labor, and open hands. This is how you fight the stagnancy of your situation, not with anger, but with unity. You share not only food, but knowledge, passed down in murmurs over kneading dough or mending. Remedies once whispered to you as a child now leave your own lips. When a crop wilts or livestock shows signs of illness, you call not for experts, but for elders. You remember how your grandmother's hands moved through soil, how your father watched the clouds like scripture. These lessons, born of hardship and memory, become your compass. They don't promise easy days, but they help you survive the hard ones. During harvest festivals, you dance and sing, not because life is easy, but because you know it's fleeting. You take joy seriously. It's a form of remembrance, a way to honor those long journeys, yours included, that brought you here. You celebrate not just the food grown from the soil, but the spirit that refused to break year after year. You smile wider during these moments because you've learned how rare they are. Even the youngest child dances with the weight of understanding of how many hands tilled the fields, how many backs bent to fill the baskets now overflowing. Laughter rises into the sky like prayer, not because you are free from burden, but because you are free despite it, even if only for an evening. It is in these moments you remember celebration is not denial of pain, but defiance of it. Still, illness is always lurking. One fever, one wound can tip life into crisis. There's no doctor to call, no money for medicine, but you double your visits to the sick. You whisper old remedies and stir what little comfort you can. In these moments, your quiet courage shines brightest when you endure not only for yourself, but for those around you. You mourn, too, quietly, without ceremony. Loss becomes a familiar shadow, uninvited, but never unfamiliar. You bury your dead with trembling hands and return to the fields because the living still need to eat. And even in grief, you find strength in numbers. A neighbor brings bread, another tends your animals. No one speaks of heroism, but everyone knows what it looks like because they live beside it every day. Upward movement feels distant, but not impossible. You still dream, sometimes aloud, sometimes in silence, of change. You feel it when your feet press into freshly tilled soil. You hear it in late-night conversations by the embers of a dying fire. There, amid hunger and hardship, possibility stirs. You teach your children to hope, even if you no longer do. You tell them stories, some true, some softened by imagination, about better days, about courage, about the dignity of labor. You teach them to look up at the stars, not with despair, but curiosity. The world has not been kind to you, but you still believe it might be kind to them. And that belief, fragile and flickering, keeps you going. Your days are a dance with necessity. Each step, each task, is part of a long narrative. You won't be remembered in songs of war or tales of kings, but your story matters. Every morning, you choose to rise, to push on despite it all, adds a thread to a larger tapestry of endurance. These are your invisible struggles and your invisible victories. You won't raise banners, you won't storm gates, but you resist in your own way. You refuse to be broken, and in doing so, you teach a lesson that echoes through time. Resilience doesn't need a stage. Sometimes it's found in simply making it through another day. As you look back on all this, it becomes clear your life, harsh and demanding, is also filled with quiet power. Waking early, enduring back-breaking tasks, surviving in a world stacked against you. You've proven that strength isn't always loud. Your spirit, tested but unbroken, is a lesson for all of us. You show that courage lives in everyday persistence, in the care for others, in holding on to hope when change feels distant. By understanding your journey, we begin to see our own differently. We learn that true endurance, the kind rooted in community, love, and the will to carry on, shapes the most powerful legacies. And your legacy, though often unseen, is one of the strongest of all.